Welcome to the chaos sector. I have a question for the audience. Which came first, the chicken or the egg? Let's dig into it. Quote, detectives collected 8 hours of surveillance video Tuesday morning from a gas station in Moscow, where a clerk saw a white sedan passing by at 3:45 a.m. on the night of the unsolved stabbing deaths of 4 University of Idaho students, according to store workers. An overnight assistant manager told Fox News Digital that she's been reviewing the tapes a little bit at a time over the past few days, looking for clues in her downtime on the graveyard shift. She said she was not working on the night of the murders. Monday night, she said, she reached the 3 o'clock hour and spotted the car. She said she took a picture of the screen and sent it to an email address police set up to receive tips. Briefly, I want to point out something. I don't know about the audience, but there is a photo that we never saw regarding that gas station surveillance. Examine. This photo, to our knowledge, was never released to the public. The only photo we saw was the edited screenshot. Now the problem here is this would be the same computer that the surveillance was being recorded onto. This is also a photo taken from a cell phone, capturing an image from the computer. Now why does the same procedure of capturing the image from the computer with the white vehicle look so distorted? I think we know why. In fact, in this photo, it's the same time frame in surveillance as the white vehicle being spotted. You see the timestamp is 3:45 a.m. and it's paused, and we see the surveillance camera video to the right-hand side. Also, the time frame is from 3:26 and 15 seconds to 3:45 and 10 seconds. So what this indicates is there was a 20-minute window that was being examined. Let's continue. Quote, I had a weird feeling to go get on the cameras, she said, asking that her name not be publicized out of safety concerns, as the suspect remains at large. Quote, the car drove by real quick, she said, and turned down a side street off Highway 8. Last week, police said they were looking to speak with the occupants of a white Hyundai Elantra, who may have information on the slayings of Madison Mogen, Kaylee Gonzalez, Ethan Chapin, and Xana Kernodle. The 3 women lived together at the home, and Chapin, who was dating Kernodle, spent the night over. Police say a white 2011 to 2013 Hyundai Elantra was seen near the victim's home around the time of the slayings. The detectives went directly to the police station after leaving the gas station, and it was too soon for investigators to comment on the contents of the video. Unquote. The first problem is the year model of the vehicle. We can get into that, but I want to focus on something more important. Now many assumed the gas station surveillance is how authorities tracked down the white Hyundai Elantra, right? But Moscow PD had to have other surveillance prior to that gas station surveillance because that clerk provided that surveillance that matched the description of the vehicle in question. So what does this mean? It means the vehicle was spotted near the home, which had to be from a camera. Yet, there was no release from any of that surveillance footage, which was used to notify the public about the potential killer, such as the gas station surveillance, you understand? Why not? Interesting enough, what warranted the gas clerk to even examine surveillance? Think about it. That gas station is not near the scene of the crime. It makes sense to examine surveillance if the gas station was closer to the neighborhood because that vehicle could possibly drive by. But mind you, Moscow PD had already reported the vehicle was spotted near the victim's home, not driving around near the highway. They never reported this. This came about once the gas station surveillance was released. Moscow is a small town, but let's be honest, if the clerk was so concerned, why isn't there a camera in the front of the gas station? I'll get into that later. What would make the clerk examine hours of footage in attempts to spot a vehicle that was reported to be seen miles away from that location? Did they assume the vehicle may drive by that area? So intuitive, hey? I don't think so. Something's off here. Going back to a previous episode, we point out the duty of a police department. If a vehicle is identified in any type of crime, especially a murder investigation, the police department is obligated to release the surveillance that captured that vehicle in question. This surveillance is given to the local news station in Moscow, and those residents will be informed about not only the murders, but also about a vehicle that is linked to the murders. You don't ask the public to provide you with information without providing them the proper information or evidence to help support your investigation with. We checked the local news station's website, and the articles go back 6 months, with Kohberger already arrested. Now of course they reported on the initial story, but did they ever receive surveillance footage from Moscow PD showing the white Hyundai Elantra? Remember, Moscow PD had surveillance of the vehicle before, I repeat, before, the gas station footage was released. In addition, I find their local news station's acronym a bit telling, literally. KLEW, which can be pronounced as the word, clue. With the all-seeing eye on top of that? How do you like those apples? And there's another problem, because the clerk claimed the vehicle was spotted around 3:45 a.m. and it turned down a side street off Highway 8. Now which side street would this be? If I'm not mistaken, the clerk also stated she didn't know which direction the vehicle went, right? Now how could the clerk not know which direction the vehicle went when they claim it turned on a side street off Highway 8? There's an intersection, my friends, either the vehicle is heading straight, turning left, or turning right. Quote, the car drove by real quick, she said, and turned down a side street off Highway 8, unquote. White Avenue turns into Steiner Avenue once you pass the intersection. Is this the quote, side street? If so, wouldn't she know this street since she works at a gas station on that intersection? Is she saying White Avenue is the side street off of Highway 8? Possible. As you see, White Avenue meets the intersection at Highway 8. Are we to believe there is not a camera that views this entire area from that gas station? Let's get into that, because that's a bit strange. Examining that gas station, or convenience store, there are 2 cameras near the car wash. Now this camera would be the camera that spotted the white vehicle. But why would you only have a camera on the sides of the building, but not monitoring the main area of the building, in the front? That's odd. Think about it. 4 college students were murdered in the town, a gas station clerk spotted the alleged killer speeding by, and somehow, they never thought to install security cameras in the front of the store after that tragedy? The clerk even stated she requested her identity be concealed, as the suspect was still at large. And this would be the assistant manager at the gas station. Surely she would advise the company to install more security cameras, right? Heck, she wouldn't have to, because they should have already had a security camera installed in the front of the store. We thoroughly checked to see if there was one, and there isn't. What appears to be a camera looks more like some sort of emergency bell. I believe there was a camera, yet they took it down, and it will stay down for some time, at least until the trial ends. And the reason for hiding this camera is to also hide the camera footage, which would show which direction the vehicle went after passing the car wash camera. Ah yes, this is why the clerk claims to not know which direction the vehicle went. Very clever, but not clever enough. If we look at the so-called surveillance, we match that with an area where the vehicle would have been spotted. Examining the back of the vehicle, there is a light-colored area behind the vehicle. It appears to be a sidewalk, right? Well, let's find out exactly where this area is on White Avenue. There is somewhat of an enclosed section of concrete here, with a side road proceeding eastbound. Its function is to allow residents to drive onto White Avenue. And the camera on the side of the building would spot the vehicle at this point. Examine. Can we agree it appears to be a physical match? More than likely. Now the owner of that Elantra hasn't been identified, of course. But there is a fraternity and sorority across from each other on Elm Street. And one of them is, take a guess. Alpha Phi. This would be Kaylee's sorority, right? In addition, a few blocks away from Alpha Phi is the other housemate's sorority, in Pi Phi. Let's look at this perspective for a moment. A white Hyundai Elantra is spotted on Elm Street, near Alpha Phi. Bethany, and also Dylan, who were the survivors, had their sorority a few blocks down from Kaylee's sorority. All of these sororities are minutes away from the crime scene, and the survivors had contacted fellow sisters about the murders that night. Let's say that the white vehicle was not the killers, but actually sorority sisters, or even fraternity brothers, who had come to that home after being notified about the murders, and literally drove off in a panic after witnessing those deceased housemates. Came to the home from Elm Street, but had left King Road, traveling eastbound. drove back westbound on White Avenue, and went to the police department, which is approximately 5 minutes from the crime scene, and then were told to go back to their sorority, or fraternity, or even both. The time frame matches up with the white vehicle being spotted at 3:45 a.m. An officer was sent to the crime scene, which was an unmarked cruiser, who had previously been in the neighborhood about an hour earlier. Since it's more than likely their beat, meaning it's the area they patrol, the same unmarked cruiser seen in the body cam footage was the same unmarked cruiser seen in the Linda Lane surveillance. Before they arrived though, a black vehicle had been circling around the Queen Road apartments from 3:30 a.m. to 4:07 a.m. If this was Emma Bailey, then we have to assume she was physically there during the murders. It wouldn't make sense that Kohberger was driving down White Avenue at 3:45 a.m. because that path is so far away from the target. He wouldn't have been able to keep track of, or monitor, that home, so far away. What if he came back, and additional vehicles had been parked at the home? If he was planning to murder those housemates that night, he wouldn't leave the vicinity, unless he wasn't capable of accomplishing his mission that night. Furthermore, he wouldn't know if there weren't additional individuals at the home to begin with. And to go back to the first question, Kohberger wouldn't know the housemates themselves were at home, because he was in Pullman. So how could he determine when to arrive there? Exhausting, but let's go back over all of this again. Kohberger would leave Pullman, not knowing the circumstances at the home. If he allegedly stalked the housemates and knew that the home was essentially a party house, why would he go in head first, knowing there would be a potential party that night? Mind you, he came, quote, prepared. Yet he wouldn't know if there were boyfriends staying over, which there was in Ethan. There could have been multiple sorority and fraternity members there, crashing overnight. He wouldn't know this, and he definitely wouldn't take that chance. The individuals who committed this massacre knew exactly who was inside the home, including Ethan. And knew when to attack. The killers watched everyone from the time they left the home heading out to party, until the time they arrived back home. Kohberger was not in Moscow when all of this transpired, so wouldn't be able to make sure, I repeat, make sure, that it would be those specific individuals in the home when he arrived. Now all of this stems from the surveillance footage from that gas station. We have to dig this deep and go back over previous analysis to really put it all together. Let's bring it all back around. Moscow PD already had surveillance of the vehicle, but they didn't rule the vehicle a suspect initially. They claimed the occupant, or occupants, may have critical information regarding the murders. This is not how you address a murder investigation where a vehicle is spotted near the crime scene. Why? Because that vehicle, based on the setting in the neighborhood, was the only vehicle actively driving around during the time frame the murders occurred. Moscow PD spotted this very vehicle, and we have to assume this would be from the neighbor's security camera, right? Again, they report that the vehicle was spotted near the victim's home. This would be the only vehicle driving in the neighborhood during the murders. What's the more likely conclusion here? A white Hyundai Elantra is leaving the scene of a crime after murdering 4 college students. Simple. They would be deemed potential suspects, not potential witnesses, right? Unless, this very vehicle was not Kohberger, and it was guess who, the white Hyundai Elantra from Elm Street. And this vehicle, more than likely, was owned by either a sorority sister from Alpha Phi, or a fraternity brother from Triple Delta across the street. And you also have to factor in Pi Phi, which was a few blocks down the street. They simply pretend to seek information from the owner of this white Hyundai Elantra, when in reality, they were already notified about the murders prior. Once again, the Elm Street white Hyundai Elantra had already visited the police department and told them there were multiple students murdered. This is inside the cover-up. This is how it would unfold behind closed doors, my friends. Is this a reach? Did we go beyond a logical theory? Some may think so, but for those who do think so, I leave you with a few questions. Where is the actual surveillance from the gas station? Why was there only a screenshot of a white vehicle, instead of actual surveillance footage showing the vehicle driving down White Avenue? Oh, it wasn't released due to, quote, investigative integrity? Then why release the screenshot? That's a part of the investigation as well. In addition, the clerk leaked that to the media, which is a part of evidence. So, it's not about investigative integrity. The reason the surveillance wasn't released is because the vehicle spotted is not Kohberger's vehicle. It's another Elantra. In my opinion, I believe this was the white Hyundai Elantra traveling back to Elm Street. The same odd path suggested that Kohberger took, ending up on White Avenue. We can apply the same odd path of the Elm Street vehicle, coming from the same location. One is alleged to be, quote, stalling time out, before murdering the housemates, while the other is driving around, even a bit of stalling themselves, trying to figure things out, after witnessing deceased sorority sisters. Then they finally decide to head to the police department. Do you understand? We have two screenshots of surveillance, which are key to the investigation. One being the screenshot from the gas station, which has been edited. And then we have a screenshot from the neighbor's security camera. Both would give us actual proof of who was actually involved in the murders, because we can examine the vehicle in depth in each location. Now I believe it was True Crime Design, who left a comment, claiming Emma Bailey stayed not too far from the victim's home. In researching Valenta Drive in our previous series, we came across an area that was blurred out. Valenta Drive momentarily turns into Ridge Road. On Ridge Road, there is an area of homes blurred out. I find that strange, that this area is blurred out, which is quite a distance away from the neighborhood where the massacre happened. But examining the layout of that area in aerial view, I can see a direct path to the neighborhood. Walk through the bushy regions, and reach the parking lot of Queen Road Apartments. It's quite easy. And, it wouldn't require a vehicle being spotted coming into the neighborhood through King Road. Like we stated before, the killers were more than likely on foot. But individuals who may have come there to make sure everything was, well, handled, were in vehicles. Speaking of that bushy region, if anyone recalled, we presented a theory that the murder weapons may have been tossed in that area. You would never find it, because the authorities never extended the crime scene to that area. In a murder investigation, such as a stabbing, one of the key places to inspect is bushy areas near the crime scene. They extended it on the property, in the backyard, but there is a parking lot near the backyard, which also has a bushy region. But, there was never any yellow tape extending out into that area. I would even suggest, there was evidence back there. Also, we never saw canines snooping around. I know the dogs are usually used when authorities are trying to track down a suspect, but there is a such thing as a forensics canine. They are trained to specifically detect evidence such as DNA, either it be blood or other bodily fluids. Sweat, body odor, and other bodily fluids are easily detected by a forensics canine. Guess what the forensics canine would also detect? Drugs. Yep, that would have definitely changed the scope of the investigation. We don't suggest having the dog literally inside the home, as it would go crazy with all the blood everywhere. But at least the exterior, allowing the forensics canine to detect any evidence that may have been overlooked by human beings. But, what do I know? But back to Emma Bailey, don't let us find out if she actually stayed there. We get why the victim's home was blurred out, and the next-door neighbors. But a home blurred out, not even in the same neighborhood, yet has a direct path to that neighborhood, indicates there is a link to the scene of the crime.
Oh my days, it all is being revealed now. If this blurred home is Emma's, I think we have everything accounted for. The reports claim that Kohberger had exited on Valenta Drive, traveling eastbound, to White Avenue, and being spotted by the gas station surveillance. But, this white Hyundai Elantra, could be from Elm Street. You see it all unfolding? They came to the home, then exited on Valenta Drive, and went to Emma's home. And from there, they traveled eastbound, and made a huge U-turn, which their vehicle was spotted by the gas station surveillance, and headed back to Elm Street via Highway 8. Since Emma was involved, they stopped by her home, trying to figure out what to do. If we assume it was Emma driving the black vehicle in the Linda Lane surveillance, she would have arrived soon after the murders occurred. The first sighting of the vehicle was approximately 3:30 a.m. The white Hyundai Elantra was spotted at 3:45 a.m. on White Avenue. How could they know the alleged Kohberger exited on Valenta Drive? It can't be based on his cell phone, because the phone was reported as being in airplane mode. So it would have to be surveillance, right? Negative, they wouldn't be able to tell if Kohberger exited to Valenta Drive, unless there was a camera at Taylor Avenue and King Road. No reports claim there was a camera, and we haven't seen one in our research. So what gives here? How could they know Koberger exited to Valenta Drive, making those 3 trips near the home? How could they know Koberger traveled down Blaine Street, to White Avenue? They couldn't know this. I'll tell you what they did, because these people are psychocriminals. Oh wait, I don't want to steal the show, it's my colleague's theory. I'll let her break it down.
It's fine by me, this is a team effort. We're starting to put the pieces of the puzzle together. True crime design, if you're listening, if what you claim is true, then we have just put a major piece of this puzzle together. They can't hide the truth even if they blur it out. This is the chaos sector.